And in studio, I have with me Onika is coming in. Onika Mars, good morning. Good
Hi,
morning,
Lisa. Good
Onika. How
morning.
are you doing this morning, Onika?
I am awesome.
You are, because you're a survivor. You're a domestic violence survivor. Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
And, we want to talk about your journey with domestic violence. We've been talking about domestic violence. I know that you're having an event, yes, an activation that's taking place across in Tobago. But before we talk about that, tell us a bit about you and how you were able to manage, the mental strain that you would have had to go through to reach where you are now.
Okay, what happened is that I would have sought counseling, and with the support of my family, right, that would have helped. I wasn't ashamed to seek counseling. In our society, people think when you seek counseling, you seek help, it is because you are mad.
Yeah.
I recognized that I needed help so that I'll be able to function and be better able to be there for my sons. So that counseling would have helped me.
So would that be the advice that you would give to other women and men who are victims of domestic violence?
Oh, yes, as far as it relates to mental health, because the thing with domestic violence and abuse, after years of that emotional abuse, psychological, physical, it plays with your mental. And when you're going through this situation, you don't even realize it, right? So my advice is seek help.
Right.
Seek counseling. That is why the counselors are there, and they are trained to deal with such situations.
What about NGOs and government initiatives? Are there any organizations or NGOs that you would have worked with or that are available, especially in Tobago?
I have not really worked with any NGO thus far, but because I understand that collaboration is key and networking is really important, because in dealing with domestic violence and abuse and other ills of society, as an NGO, you cannot do it alone, right? So I am looking forward actually to working with other NGOs in bringing some sort of eradication to this scourge in our society.
Okay, so November 25th, that was yesterday, is the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. And on December 10th, it's Human Rights Day. Tell us about the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence that's taking place.
Okay, actually, I am going to partake tomorrow, God's willing. I am going to be a speaker at the Canaan Bonaccord Methodist Church domestic violence event. The theme of the event is taking off the mask, a domestic violence discussion. Our organization, Women of Substance, has not planned directly any event, but we are taking part in several events in Trinidad and in Tobago.
Onika, some women are in relationships where they are dependent on men for their finances, and for their daily living. Do you think that this contributes in any way to the whole situation around domestic violence?
Oh, yes, because what I think is, even looking at the economy right now, the downturn in the economy, we may have a man who would have been the head contributor, right? The head of the household. He's the one bringing in the income. And because of the situation with the economy now, he may have lost his job. This now plays a part on his ego, right? And because he doesn't have the income to support as he usually would, it means that he may turn to violence.
But did you see signs? I know you were in a relationship for a while. Thankfully, you're no longer in that relationship. But were there signs before or in the early days, or did it change overnight, so to speak, or what was it? Was it a gradual thing?
It was a gradual thing, because what I recognize now is that abusers are filled with wit. This is not something that happens right away as you enter a relationship. They are very crafty. So they bring you to a place where you trust them totally. So everything starts out really nice, and they give everything you want. They tell you all the nice things you want to hear. Now, I would have lived in Trinidad at that time during that relationship. So I am originally from Tobago. And I remember there were times when I would want to come over to Tobago to visit my relatives on weekends. And every time I plan to come to Tobago, my abuser will come up with some reason why I shouldn't. And at first, I overlooked it. I didn't see anything wrong with it. But after some time, I realized something is wrong here, because my siblings and I, my relatives and I, are very, very close. So, of course, my parents look forward to me coming over to Tobago to spending quality time with them. And I remember on one occasion, I came over to Tobago for the weekend. And when I got back to Trinidad, all my shoes were packed up in my refrigerator. And I was like, what is this? And he said to me, your foot is too hot, so I need to cool you down, right? And this is not something that I would have seen in the initial stages of the relationship. So he brought me to a place where I trusted him fully. He was very, very nice. He was my knight in shining armor. So.
Well, thankfully you were able to. Thankfully, you were able to, to get out of that situation. I have one final question for you. You have 2 teenage sons by the same person. How do you talk to your sons without about their father, without having to, essentially have a negative impact on them, on their lives?
The thing is, I am very open with my sons. I never hid the fact that I would have gone through a domestic violence situation with my children's father. They were exposed to it because there were times when they saw stuff. And I remember once my sons came over to Tobago, and they would have told their grandparents about an incident that would have happened. Now, I hid stuff from my parents. So because of this, I was forced to tell them a bit about what was happening.
So
I do not speak negative to my children about their father.
Right. So you keep it honest.
I never do it.
You keep it honest, open,
I keep it honest
and positive, and let them have their own journey, right? Thank you so much, Onika Mars, for sharing so much with us. I'm sure you would have touched, if not one person, this morning here on Now Live from Tobago. That was Onika Mars. There's 16 days of activism.
You're welcome.
If you're across in Tobago, you can certainly join the effort there with Onika Mars.